On the last episode of Hops and Gnarly Brewing, we compared two batches of a Hazy IPA, one made with malted oats and the other one made with flaked oats. For me, a combination of both is the way to go for a nice body and an easy to manage mash. Today, I'm shifting my attention to the hops. The first question is, which hops should I use? To get an idea of the types of hops I should even consider, I ordered this Bart Haas Hop Aroma Standards Kit. It's a pretty simple thing, but can give you concrete reference points for ordering hops online. With those reference points in mind, I started smelling as many hops as I could. Yakima Valley Hops sent over this hop box, which contains 8 2-ounce samples of hops, and the Nelson Sauvin definitely smells amazing. I also tried Idaho 7, Amarilla, and Raquel before ultimately deciding to add Idaho 7 to my Citra Eldorado combo. Now that I know which hops I'm going to use, the next question is, how should I use them? One of the most talked about best practices for Hazy IPAs is the Biotransformation Dry Hop. The idea is that when you add dry hops when the yeast is at peak activity, certain non-aromatic compounds are reduced into smaller compounds by the yeast, glucose, water, and an aromatic hop oil. That part isn't up for debate, it's scientifically understood, but that doesn't mean I don't have some questions. Like, is it okay to leave dry hops in the fermenter for 7, 8, maybe 10 days? And more importantly, can I taste the difference between a biohop beer and one that's dry hopped right before packaging? Just like the rest of this series, my goal is not necessarily to decide a winner. And to be upfront, my results are far from conclusive. I just want to taste the differences for myself and hopefully over time, get familiar with the things that separate good beers from great beers. Now, let's make some beer. Going with another big split batch today on the Blickman Brew Easy. I'm using some local spring water and I'm adjusting the water profile using gypsum, calcium chloride, Epsom salt, and canning salt. This time, I'm gonna keep my chloride levels at 200 parts per million, but I'm gonna increase my sulfate level to 150 parts per million to give the beer a brighter and somewhat sharper hop character. With some beer styles, this isn't necessarily required to make good beer, but with a Hazy IPA, you should make every effort to take control of your water. For the grain bill, I'm gonna do something a little different, and I'm introducing some Vienna malt into the recipe to get a slightly darker color and more malt complexity. I'm using 40% base malt, 31% Vienna, 12% malted oats, 12% flaked oats, and about 5% dextrin. I'll keep mashing this in until everything is nice and saturated and holding steady at our target mash temperature of 152 Fahrenheit or 67 Celsius. Then I'll start a timer for 1 hour. Okay, we've been mashing for over an hour now, and we just reached our mash out temperature of 168 Fahrenheit or about 75 Celsius. Time to yank these grains and get our boil started. Alright, we're up to a boil, and unlike the last couple batches, it's time for our first hop addition. I need just a little more bitterness to balance out this beer, so I'm adding 21 grams of Citra to this 10-gallon batch, which should put us right around 14 or 15 IBUs. Our 30-minute boil timer starts now. Okay, it's been 30 minutes and it's time to kick off the whirlpool. Let's drop the temp to 160 Fahrenheit or 71 Celsius and start weighing out some more hops. Today, I'm adding Idaho 7 to the Citra Eldorado party, which should add some big-time orange juice flavors. For this 10-gallon batch, I'm adding 34 grams each of Citra, Eldorado, and Idaho 7, and we've got 30 minutes to go. And just like that, it's time to chill this wort down and get ready for fermentation. Let me get this thing transferred and we'll get set up for fermentation. I recently scored these SS Brewtech Chronicles secondhand, and this will be my first time using them. They have side-mounted cooling coils, but to keep things simple, I decided to just use my fridge setup to maintain fermentation temperatures. For these beers, I'm once again using A07 Flagship from Imperial, which has been a workhorse throughout this experimental series. That said, it's not well known for biotransformation, so we'll see how this shakes out. If we need to, we can always try it again with another strain. With the Inkbird probe in one of the fermenters, I'm setting the temperature to 65 Fahrenheit or about 18 Celsius. Within just a few hours, I noticed fermentation activity, and by the next day it was so active, I decided it was time for the first dry hop. I'm using that same Citra Eldorado Idaho 7 combo for both batches, but for one of them, I split the dry hop in half. Half for today and half just before cold crash. In total, each fermenter will receive 56 grams of each hop, so 28 grams in this bio hop. I'll just pack the sight glass, purge with CO2 a bunch of times, and try my hardest to get them to drop into the fermenter. And because I have so much to add, I need to do this one more time to get them all in there. And as expected, this batch was excited about the dry hops and got really excited over the next 24 hours while the other batch continued chugging along. On day 6, I raised the fermentation temperature to 70 degrees Fahrenheit to start a diacetyl rest, and on day 7, I dry hopped both batches. Batch D received another 28 grams of each hop, and batch E received its full dose of 56 grams of each hop, Citra, Eldorado, and Idaho 7. A couple days later, I cold crashed, kegged, and carbonated, and then I packaged everything up using the SL1 from October Design. It's been a couple weeks since brew day, and I'm stoked to taste these beers side by side. First, we have batch D, the biohop version. And on the left, we have batch E, which was only dry hopped at the very end of fermentation. Both of these beers have a pretty nice golden yellow color, but batch D is looking a little brown. I definitely wouldn't rule out the possibility of oxidation, especially since we broke into that fermenter twice during fermentation. For aroma on batch D, I'm getting dank hops and sweet tropical fruit. Body is right where I want it, nice and thick with a touch of bright bitterness, and the flavor has the right notes, but something is missing here. I noticed when I was cleaning out this fermenter that some of the dry hops seem clumped together inside the cooling coil of the SS Brewtech Chronicle. And tasting it, I can definitely confirm they didn't get the best contact with the wort. Hopefully, this next one didn't suffer the same fate. Batch E aroma is kind of dank with notes of sweet fruit and orange juice. The body is similar to batch D, but holy shit, the flavor is way different. I've been drinking a lot of that Citra Eldorado combo, so the biggest thing that stands out to me is that Idaho 7. It adds a whole new layer of flavors to the beer, more citrus, some orange juice, and like a dank fruit preserve of some kind. I also like the balance of bitterness from that 60-minute Citra edition, but I could maybe dial it down slightly. So here's where we're at. The water profile is great. The body is right where I want it, and we've got a more balanced and pronounced hop character with the addition of Idaho 7. Overall, I think we're pretty close to my target, but we're not out of the woods quite yet. Next time, we'll check out a few different yeast strains from Imperial Yeast and see just how impactful yeast choice can be on the final beer. This episode of Hops and Gnarly Brewing was made possible by these awesome partners. If you like this video, let me know in the comments and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you again soon.